When I say extreme Scrum, what comes to your mind? Extreme programming, that's one flavor. Creating value, absolutely. You should be creating value anyway. That's by default. Thank you. What else? Something crazy, sure. What could be crazy? Something that some organizations are not ready for. Okay. So when I was invited to speak, the person contacted me and said, tell us a real-life example. Ha! I have something for you. Let me take you to 2006. Like, this is forever ago. This is a long time ago. And the particular project was FIFA World Cup. How many of you football fans? Yeah. What's the thing that you remember about 2006 FIFA World Cup, if anything? What? Nothing? Okay. Sorry? Yeah. Zidane headbutt was the story. Well, that was the unexpected story. But there were many other unexpected stories. My team was the supplier team that built the portal for the entire FIFA World Cup. This is something that hasn't been done before. And in 2006, internet was still pretty young. Not necessarily everybody had it. So there were many things that we didn't quite know how it would pan out. We planned it, and we did our best. But there were things that we didn't know. So when we started that, you know that the final month of games is in the host country. So this is the stadium in Berlin. And here, okay, I can't. So, okay, right here, that tent, that was our offices behind the stadium, on the grounds behind the stadium. And aside from the Berlin Stadium, there were 11 other stadiums where things were happening. And we actually came close, not just inside the stadium, but close to the pitch. This is the closest I've been. There's obviously a security guy here watching that people don't come too close and mess up the pitch. And they actually were there 24/7, all right? I didn't know this before. And there were lots of security around. And this was the team. You can see the people in the suits. They were the FIFA guys. And then the riffraff, that was my team. The rest of that was the Yahoo team, the development team. And we built the portal, we built the CMS, and we ensured that the site was up and running. The spectators, obviously, 70,000 that would fit into the Berlin Stadium. Of course, the entertainment. This was our office in that huge tent behind the stadium. Inside the office, on one side was our client team, the FIFA team, and on the other side was us, the development team, plus our content producers. And yeah, that's me. Oops, there. And we were surrounded by 32 TVs because, of course, we need to be able to see what's going on the pitch, because on the other side of the aisle, there were people writing stories about the games. And every day we would be shuttled to the tent and back to the hotel and so on. So that was a setup where we were working. This was the product, our portal, or one part of it. This is the Japanese version. The product existed in 9 languages, of course, for a worldwide audience. And this was the Matchcast part of it, where anybody, anywhere could log in and write comments on the game as it was happening, and other people would be commenting on it. In 2006, this did not exist. We built something completely unseen to that point. It was an incredible achievement for our team. And then on the other side of the tent, there was the journalist space. There's accredited journalists who cover all the matches. There's about 200 some of them. They're the users of our CMS. So they're basically our clients, just separated by a divider on the other side of the tent. And this is part of the development team, already pairing and debugging. And then there were sponsors. There were 12 sponsors, each one of them with a calendar of activities, events, the golden foot, the golden ball, the Coca-Cola sponsorship, promotions. Every single one of the sponsors had something to put up on the website at a specific date and time. So this was the scope and the background of what we were doing. And this was the challenge. There were 32 teams competing, and the schedule was quite taxing. You could see the schedule for each of the stadiums and on the dates. And you can see 9 of June, 10 of June, 11 of June. There was something happening every day. And our site needs to be able to keep up with that. And new at that time was also mobile offering. And one of our best achievements is that if you sat in a stadium and an event happened on the pitch, before it was displayed on the big screen, our mobile app already announced it. That was hot. So that was our product. And this is the part where it gets hairy. Take your typical day. Typical day starts at 9 a.m. And the first match, in the first 2 weeks of the month of the World Cup, the first match starts at about 5 p.m., which means any code drop that our team is planning on putting live better be there by 4 at the latest. 5 p.m. match, second match at 7. By the time that finishes, that's about 10 p.m. Then all those journalists finish their articles, submit it, and then send it to translations to 8 other languages. All of that happening in a hurry that same day. And by 2 a.m., things get quiet again. And the next day, you start all over again. Which means that every day, no, we don't do story point estimating. We just estimate what can we finish by 4 p.m. today. Who cares about velocity? We just get to finish and ship every single day. And bug tracking, okay, whatever we need to do, just make sure it's shipped with good quality every single day. So that's the extreme part. And effectively, we were doing one-day sprints. And that was the window. Develop, test, and deploy. And after that window, while the game is playing, you could do some testing in local environment, in test environment, nothing to live. And you could do all the explorations, the probing, and so on. So the very first day, that was our bug tracking. The very first day, the game is going on. Oh, this is broken. Oh, that is broken. Just write it on a flip chart. And somebody fix it right away. And if it's a teeny tiny fix, maybe, no, we'll wait until 10 p.m. to put it to life. But we were tracking all these incidents on piece of paper. The first day we filled 3 pages of the flip chart, only to then, at the end of the day, say, okay, now all of this, package it, deploy, or package it and deploy tomorrow. And anything that was not fixed that night, then that goes into Bugzilla for tracking for tomorrow. So the tracking for the day was on a piece of paper. At the end of the 10 p.m., maybe before, we would actually, some of us were still working. So this is in the hotel lobby where we were staying. Some of us would continue to work until the 2 a.m. and one night until 6 a.m. Wow. Obviously, as the Scrum Master, I'm making sure that we don't burn people out, right? I mean, this is a horribly taxing schedule. It's very, very exciting, but it is so hard. So we actually had a working schedule. This was a working agreement with each of the dates marked, and every person would mark their availability with the guideline of make sure everybody has 2 days off per week. You decide which 2 days off, but make sure your counterpart, somebody with similar skill set, is available on that day. So effectively self-organize, the 2 of you, and agree, or the 3 or the 4 of you, agree which of you are available on which day. And whether you're in the morning shift or in the evening shift, or whether you're taking a break in between the 4 p.m. and 10 p.m. And the working session continued, especially in the first 2 weeks. There were quite a few things that were happening, and to be honest, were breaking. So we needed to be on the standby and ready to respond. And myself and a few other people had everybody's phone number just in case we needed somebody right away. And some interesting things happened. So it was 2006, and it was a particularly hot summer. It was one of the hottest summers to that date, and there were people dying of heat. And our data center in UK, the air conditioning broke on day 2 of the games, which meant as the games were in progress, our servers started to fall over. And we needed to divert live traffic from UK data center to one of our East Coast USA centers while game is in progress and while we have millions of users on our website. Luckily for us, We practiced one of the good practices before the World Cup started, just 2 days before the World Cup started, and we actually practiced the rollover procedure from one data center to another. We did not expect to have to do that for real just 4 days later. And we had some of the specialists just were with us that day and saying, okay, things are looking good. I'm going to go explore Berlin and be a tourist. If anything, call me. And they went, and about 2 hours later, I had to call them and say, tourist time over, come back. We have real-life situation. And help us execute a real rollover. Then, about week 2 or 3, we had denial of service attack, and nobody could log in. Now, it started at about 9:30 a.m. So 9:30 a.m., not too many people, not too many of the journalists, not too many of the FIFA guys, not too many of our people were trying to log in. So we're furiously finding out what's going on. We have the team over here, the team on site, looking into our logs and our system. We had the team in India, we had the team in the US, and we're looking into this like 9:30, 10 o'clock, 10:30, and people still can't get in. And furious people were coming up to my desk and going, what's going on? I demand an explanation. We need to log in. And we're all furiously trying to fix this. It took us over 2 hours, almost 3. Tempers were flying. I mean, there was this whole, how are we going to survive the day? We did fix it, thanks to our colleagues all over the world. And by 2 p.m., 3 p.m., I took a sigh of relief of, I don't ever want to live a day like this again. And I still had to write the formal explanation that our attorney was going to send to our clients. It was one of the extreme cases that we had to deal with. At the end of this, we delivered our site handled 3.4 billion page views. I still get shivers at that. It was the biggest internet event in the world to that date. It was huge. It was a big TV event as well. 26 billion viewers on standard platform. And when we set out and set our targets for this portal, somebody asked, can you guarantee 99.99% uptime? And we did not dare. We said, we'll set our goal at 99.95. We thought we could achieve 0.95, but not 99. And at the end, we actually achieved 0.98. Whew! We had engineers ecstatic at what we managed to achieve, which was way beyond our expectations, our clients' expectations. Our sponsors didn't even know what to expect in this regard. They knew that what they asked for got delivered, they were satisfied. But the traffic that we accomplished, that our site was able to serve and engage users with, was something that all of us walked away from with this incredible sense of accomplishment. And obviously, World Cup is a big thing. It was huge in Germany. Even at that time, we have, oops. The bottom line is you can do extreme scrum. You can do daily sprints. We did them. But you need to do it in a sustainable way. It's one thing to do it for 1 month. It's not something that we would do forever. So do what's right for you. But when the time comes and you need to quickly keep on delivering, consider something that you haven't done before. But certainly we haven't done before. This is 2006. The travel destination and the economic impact of World Cup. It's huge, huge opportunity. Not just for FIFA, but this was for the host country. And at the end, that year's World Cup achieved over 600,000 million viewers at just the final, just viewing the headbutting. So we survived it, but yes, look out for that sustainability. I'm Silvana Wasitova. I'll entertain questions here or after. Thank you. How long was the vacation after the 1 month? I actually negotiated an extra week off the books. Because we acknowledge that everybody worked extra time, even when they signed up for morning, evening shifts, and so on and so on. So nobody was required to show up at work until a week after, because we were all pretty drained and exhausted. And this is something that we agreed with HR, that we can't track all the overtime, and it's obvious that people were doing overtime. So we had an extra week off.
Other questions?
Yes?
How about scrumming plans?
How
about scrumming plans? Do you have it every day?
Yeah, we did sprint planning every morning. Every morning we planned, what do we need to achieve today? What do we need? And what can we realistically deploy by 4 p.m. today? So every morning was planning, including we can't finish this one today, and it's not needed for today, it's needed tomorrow or in 2 days. So planning that for that. So we finished the sprint plannings, we did them every morning, and at the beginning, it took us about 15, 20 minutes. At the end, it was about 5, 10 minutes where we would say, and on the final days, there wasn't much. There were very small changes, so it was very, very quick. So we did the sprint plannings, and we did retrospective in the sense that we would be talking about what can we improve, what needs attention. We didn't do daily scrums because it's 1 day, but we were like in a space that's about this big, so we would constantly be talking to each other. We had some people who were in other locations that we would message, and we would get that right away. So the communication flow was pretty continuous, and we were very tuned in. One of the side effects of that was we became very, very close. I mean, those guys in the pictures are still people I consider friends today, and this is 12 years later. So yeah, we communicated very, very closely.
Just a quick question. Did things settle down as the time progressed? I mean, was the first couple days really chaotic, and then except for like this DOS attack that you had?
Yeah. The first day, we filled 3 flip chart pages of bugs and things broken. The second day, maybe 1 page, and then after that, we did not fill a page. So yes, things quieted down. It's like, your first release is going to be the most buggy, so we saw that with our product as well, and we knew we needed to be very reactive, very quickly in the first 2-3 days, and then after that, we could actually relax more until the DOS attack. That was the hairiest ever. Okay?
So here's my question. What would you do differently next time?
What would I do differently? At that time, we had not been in the habit of deploy something, toggle it off, and then toggle it on certain time. So we were actually manually deploying some of the marketing initiatives and so on the day specified. It was already pre-designed, but it was not deployed. So those are some of the things that, in retrospect, we know better how to do today that at that time we did not have.
Thank you.
Right?
We have one question here.
Oh, one more.
Hi, Pavel Kaukus. One question from me, and I just wanted to say that I can really appreciate the innovative approach you had back then. I originate from web media publishing, and the stuff that we do now, you sort of originated it back then. But the question is, how much of that work, how much of that huge portal was ready before the beginning of the World Cup, and also were you developing it in a Scrum way with maybe longer sprints? Because the time during the World Cup, I assume that this was mostly for like maintenance work, bug fixing, alarming stuff.
Yeah, the 1 month was mostly maintenance and bug fixing. Most of it was developed beforehand. Certainly all the pages existed, but maybe we didn't have the data feed yet, so we can't go live with it. But it had been tested with the sample data and so on. So most of it was developed. I think the final development finished about 2 weeks before the World Cup started. Some of it was developed in agile way. Some of it predated my arrival with the team. And when I arrived, we were just starting the agile transition at that time. So the team didn't know this. And I was introducing without wanting to disrupt what they were doing. So we had a little bit of this transition period where both, and there were some commitments according to the waterfall model and so on. But then as soon as the World Cup started, then this is the only way we could have survived. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
One last one?
One last question. Okay, super short question.
How many Scrum teams work?
So effectively, theoretically, we had 2 teams because we were bigger than 9, right? So if you look at the numbers, we were 2 teams, but in reality, we were really one team that was very fluid. And there were some days that where certain people were there. And it was very clear that, for example, there were 2 guys who were the only 2 people who worked on one thing in particular. So they, between the 2 of them, they agreed who's going to be there when and who's going to do which part. So I waited for their input, for example. So effectively, we operated as one team, even though number-wise, we really would have been 2. And schedule-wise, it looked like we were 2, but in reality, it was one fluid team. Okay, thank you.